Yo, 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 welcome to episode 12 of the Elite Wrestling Club podcast, where we explore individuals' dreams and the unwavering persistence to achieve them off the mat. Hi, I'm your host, Lance Runyon, and I'm thrilled to have you join us for another inspiring episode. In this episode, we will be going behind the scenes with Colin Realbuto, who is a UNI wrestler at 149 pounds, a two-time NCAA qualifier, and an Italian world team member. We will share personal stories and valuable insights, and we're excited to bring you a fascinating conversation that will inspire and motivate you to achieve your dreams and achieve greatness, both on and off the mat. So without further ado, let's welcome Colin Realbuto and dive into the Elite Wrestling Club podcast world. If you guys didn't know, at EWC we specialize in custom gear and team apparel, creating unique and personalized experiences just for you. So don't wait another moment. Unlock the full potential of your team's identity with our expert services. Visit our website now and let's begin the journey together. To get started, go to our website, which is elitewrestlingclub.store, and follow the 3 simple steps. Complete the info form, design, order, and then complete the shipping and handling. It's that easy. Man, I'm excited for this episode, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on and share your journey with me and our listeners.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Let's do
How's
it.
it going, man?
Doing great. Just got out of practice, ate some dinner, ready to go.
What'd you have for dinner tonight?
Keeping it simple: chicken, rice, vegetables. Just the necessities.
Yeah, that's a good meal.
Yeah,
I
just
uh,
healthy cooking.
I wish I had something like that, but
Why? What'd you eat? Come on, you gotta refuel too. What's Doug say? Come on, nutrition, water, and sleep. That's all you need.
yeah, I
Shout
got my
out Mel.
shout out Mulligans, that's for sure. Um, just to get started, I mean, if you want to give a little background of yourself, how you got started in the sport, kind of what drew you to it, and then like what age you started.
So I got started wrestling real little. I mean, I had 4 older brothers. My dad was the youth coach for our town. He got into it because he wrestled in high school, and he wanted to coach my brothers to like spend time with us. So I think I was wrestling somewhere around like the age 6 or something. Um, I did it pretty much every year, but for like 2 months a year. I wasn't huge on it. I really didn't want to do it. I ended up really getting into wrestling the fall of my junior year. Um, my oldest brother, ended up passing away, and I ended up using wrestling as like an outlet for that. And from that point on, I just haven't stopped wrestling. That's when I started wrestling year round. That's when I started to try to wrestle in college, and that's kind of what led me to be here.
Before diving into today's episode, we would like to shout out our first sponsor of the episode, the Wash Bar. The Wash Bar is located in the heart of Cedar Falls, Iowa at 1125 Fountains Way. The Wash Bar is not your average car wash. They offer an individualized service where the customer is king. Whether you prefer an exterior shine, a meticulous interior detail, or the full Monty, the Wash Bar tailors your experience to your preferences. They offer memberships for frequent users and an a la carte of services for occasional needs. With their unique and flexible service menu, the Wash Bar truly lives up to their slogan, your wash, your way, as often as you like. What sets the Wash Bar apart is the quality of their service and the personalized care they provide. They keep a detailed record of your wash and detail preferences, ensuring a consistent experience on every visit. They've gone a step further with their innovative app and scheduling platforms, which can store your preferences to offer an even more personalized experience. Think of them as your favorite bar, only instead of serving up drinks, they're serving up pristine car washes. They pride themselves on being a friendly neighborhood wash bar where everyone knows your name and your wash and detail order. As an added touch of hospitality, they even offer complimentary root beer for the kids. The Wash Bar's commitment to quality is second to none. They utilize the most advanced wash and detail technology to ensure the highest level of cleanliness for your vehicle. They understand that life can be hectic and firmly believe that a clean car contributes to a calmer mind. For the do-it-yourself types, they offer 24-hour self-serve bays, one of which is designed to accommodate oversized vehicles. Other complimentary services include free vacuums, tire pressure checks, and an air hose for blowing out those hard-to-reach crevices. Additionally, their retail shop is stocked with a wide selection of car wash and detailing supplies. The Wash Bar, your neighborhood car wash in Cedar Falls, Iowa, is dedicated to providing a friendly, high quality, and individualized wash and detail experience. So drive over to the Wash Bar today and experience a car wash with a twist. Thank you again to our sponsor, the Wash Bar. Now let's begin today's episode. Who would you say was your biggest inspiration growing up?
I mean, so I he was both my biggest inspiration and like the biggest push away. My older brother Brian had amazing success in the sport from when he was younger, and I was younger than him watching him do that. So before my junior year of high school, I'd watch him out there just kicking ass, and I was like, "Fuck, am I allowed to curse?"
You do you, man.
All right, I'll try to keep it. I'll try to tone it down. But I'd watch him go out there and kick ass, and I was like, "Well, I can't do that. I'm not as good as him. I don't want to wrestle. I'm not going to be nearly as good as him." And then when I finally did get into it, the mentality flipped, and I was like, "Well, I want to kick ass like him. We got to do this. We're going all the way." So I'm really shooting to try and have as much success as him, and probably Max Askren. Those are probably the two guys I've looked up to career wise for a long time. If I could get a career like them, I'd be real happy.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind me bringing it up, you mentioned your brother passing, and just kind of how you used wrestling as an outlet. I think that's um, something a lot of us do. Whether it's using exercise as an outlet, in general for different reasons. But if you want to get a little deeper into that,
Yeah. So my brother had drug problems for years. My parents, my family, trying to help him through that for a long time, and he just ended up losing the fight, and it was a real hard time for me. It was a real hard time for our family, and the way I chose to get through that was through wrestling. I mean, like you can be sad all day, you can be down all day, but you don't even have the energy to be sad after a hard wrestling practice, and the amount of like emotional release you can get from just going into a wrestling practice and just grinding it out, and like it would just feel so good to go out there and pour myself into something. um yeah, that's really how I seriously started to get into wrestling. Before that point, I was just kind of messing around, did it for fun. That point, I really, and because of him passing away, I really started to pour myself so much into it to deal with the emotions I was going through at the time, to try and cope with them health in a somewhat healthy way, that I actually started seeing some level of success. I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! I want to do this more." Um, so yeah, the universe works in mysterious ways. In one hand, I lost a brother, which is awful. On the other hand, I found like one of the passions of my life.
yeah, man, it's good that you were able to use that experience to really better yourself and as sad and as much as it sucked, I'm sure for you and your family, I'm sure that there's some positives that came out of it, and
Yeah, and that's all you can do. Look at the positives and move on. I'm really grateful I found really grateful I dove deeper into the sport of wrestling and found the supportive people along the way. It's
yeah,
been amazing.
if you want to talk about some of your biggest supporters, obviously, a plug for your family and people like that, but if you want to give a little shout out to the people that have been there from day one and your supporters.
So, um, obviously my parents. It was awesome. My mom and dad, like there was, I can't even name a competition they didn't show up to in high school and college so far. I mean, it's a 18-hour car ride from New York to Iowa, probably like a what 4-hour plane ride, and they've definitely made it to more college events than they've missed, easily, which I is no easy task going from so far. Um, the first person I'll shout out though, and coaches though, is probably Max Askren. He makes fun of me for this because I was in middle school. I was at that point where I was still wrestling like 2 or 3 months a year, and he was out in New York running his AWA club, the first AWA, which like shot to Parker. He likes to say he's an original. He likes to say he's an OG AWA guy, not no G unless you were an AWA New York guy. Just putting that out there. I know that'll bother him. Um, but yeah, he had me rolling with the sport and was supporting me the entire time. He would have me out to when I started getting serious in the sport. I could go out for summers to Wisconsin to train with him. I ended up actually going to live with him for a year and a half during my gap year, from like May to the following year's August, training out there before I came out here to UNI. So he was huge supporter in terms of like a wrestling coach. The next one was probably my guys at Empire Wrestling. Empire Wrestling is like the club out in New York in my hometown. My brothers both all trained at before Max came out to New York. Um, Steven Rodriguez was one of the guys from that club around my brother's age, who, when I was in high school and started getting into it, he helped me a lot along the way. Did a ton of individuals with him, like 2, 3 times a week during the season. He really helped me make that jump in high school while I was still there. So, Empire Wrestling Academy, another shout out.
There you
Yeah.
go.
And then obviously being here at UNI, Doug, Roper, Randy, B Rob, you can't replace our coaching staff. You just can't. You can't copy it. You can't replace it. It's been awesome.
Right. Um, having four older brothers, you said, right? What was it like growing up in your household? I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of fights with your brothers
Oh,
and all that going on, but
100%. We got into so many brawls. It'd be, I'm the youngest, so I was ready to fight anyone. I was down to scrap with anyone. Then you had my brother Michael trying to like keep the peace, like, hey, pushing us apart. The most probably iconic thing to me in my mind that I can think of from my childhood, I would get off the bus after everyone else because I'm the youngest. My bus would get home last. Everyone else would be home first. My brother Dylan, who's closest in age to me, is 5 years older. For the longest time, we were about the same size because I was a fat little kid and he was a skinny, big guy. He was a skinny guy, so he was about the same size, and I thought I could take him. I'd get off the bus every day, go inside. He'd be playing on the Xbox, and I'd be like, "It's my turn. Let me on." We'd start brawling and fighting. My mom would come into the room, start yelling at us, "Cut it out, cut it out. Your dad's upstairs napping. You're gonna wake him up. You don't want to do that." Yeah, we'd get into a ton of brawls, probably all the way up until I was like 18, 19. It's probably when the physical fighting came calmed down.
yeah, what's the age gap with you guys?
Um, so from me to my oldest brother, it's 10 years, and then me to my nearest brother is 5 years. So
Okay.
they were all born within like a year and a half of each other, and then I was at the end. They swear I'm not an accident.
No, man, definitely not. Um, so were there other sports, that you grew up doing besides wrestling? You said you only wrestled like 2 months out of the year, so what kind of filled the rest of that time growing up?
Random stuff, soccer. I'd go to like soccer camp for a couple of weeks when I was younger during the summer. Baseball. Um, did football for a year when I was in like fifth grade, but I was never good at those. I was not a star player in any of those. I was not very good. And actually, when I was in high school, the first 2 years of high school, I did football again, and I did tennis. Tennis was a lot of fun. But yeah, I always just like messed around, did sports. I was never really good at anything. I was just having fun.
I mean, what else can you do?
Yeah.
That's what it's about, anyways, having fun. Um, so I guess you said you really started to love wrestling your junior year in high school. Um, if you want to talk a little bit about, if you did any traveling as a kid, any tournaments, any big tournaments, when you started kind of doing that.
Yeah, so I really didn't do that until the summer after my junior year. I, well, I had traveled a bunch as a little kid growing up to watch my brothers wrestle at tournaments, but I was never
Right.
competing. I wasn't good enough. We'd be traveling all over Pennsylvania and New Jersey and stuff with my brothers Brian and Dylan, because they were good enough that they like needed to go to places to find good competition. But I'd be sitting at the tournaments playing on the PSP 'cause I wasn't good enough to wrestle. Because yeah, I just didn't want to do it. So after my junior year, I think I went to Flow Nationals once, and I went like 1-2, I want to say. I went to Fargo once, and I think I went like 2-2. That was bad. Uh, and I think I went like 2-2 at a Super 32 qualifier. That was about it. Not it was that was towards as my career has gone on, that's been kind of a problem because I'm not used to being on those big stages, which actually
Yeah.
wrestling for Italy has been very helpful because it puts me on those big stages more often, so it gets me used to competing under the lights. It's one thing to compete in the UNI West Gym, but then it's another thing to compete at like the World Championships.
Yeah,
It's a little
man.
scarier.
You want to talk a little bit about high school? Your freshman, sophomore year, and then like you said, you mentioned your junior year really being the growth year, and then obviously your senior year, you got third at state, I believe.
Yep.
Um, so if you kind of want to talk about that growth in there and kind of what contributed to it, that mindset shift.
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, freshman sophomore year, my mom actually talked me into joining the wrestling team because I didn't really want to do it my freshman year. I was in public school up until high school. Then in high school, I went to a Catholic school, so I was going to the Catholic school and I was like, I don't know if I want to wrestle. And my mom was like, no, you should do it. You'll have fun. It'll be good. So my freshman sophomore year is just having a lot of fun. Our qualifier for state was like Catholic states, so all the Catholic schools in the state wrestled to make it to public school state. And I think I took like fifth and then third my freshman sophomore year. So I was still like really good just from like even though I didn't wrestle that much, I still wrestled with the AWA guys out in New York. So like I'm not like I wasn't wrestling very often, but I still had a huge leg up just because I was lucky enough to be around my brothers and be around Max at the time. Um, and yeah, going into junior year, that mindset change, I was like, all right, this isn't fun anymore. Or it's fun, but winning is more fun than losing in the sport. So I want to win more often, and I want to put the work in to win. And that was the biggest thing. It's the probably the biggest thing that happened my junior year was like I would be given opportunities to go to training camps, to do individuals, to do clinics, to go to camps, do everything. And like my answer was always like, why not? Like, what else would I be doing? Why not go get better? Like, this is going to be awesome. I'll be better for the next time I wrestle and I'll be able to do cooler things and get better and it'll be great. Um, that was probably the biggest mindset change before. I just wanted to have fun with it. And then I was like, oh, winning is fun. Like being able to do cool technical things, cool technical pieces. That was probably that's a whole other thing, which is probably where my scrambling and stuff comes from, is the that technique part that I really fell in love with, probably around that time.
Hey man, I love watching you scramble around. So I'm glad you fell in love with that technique aspects of things.
Dude, it like hitting I got in a conversation with Roper about this one day, and he kind of made fun of me because hitting a leg attack or hitting some shot and just finishing right away is kind of cool, but hitting a leg attack or a shot, ending up in a scramble, and then being able to beat the guy in the scramble and like kind of making the guy have an oh shit moment, like oh shit, what just happened in the scramble. That's one of my favorite things. I love doing that to people. It's like
Uh,
you're getting into a ridiculous scramble, like body parts are just everywhere, and then you end up on top with the takedown. That's my favorite thing. I love that. I'm not gonna lie. It's yeah, that was probably one of the first things I fell in love with. Was just being able to like turn shit on its head like that and surprise a guy.
yeah, so you talked about, just really deciding that you wanted to win, deciding that the work was going to be worth it. And then um, I saw in an interview, I think maybe your junior or senior year of high school, you talked a little bit about the growth you made when you stopped comparing yourself to your brothers and their careers and really just putting that aside and focusing on you and being yourself. If you want to talk a little bit about that, the change that you made in your life.
Yeah, so I really think that came down to two things. One, I stopped comparing myself to my brothers because like I said, growing up, I'd always watch them, and I was like, I can in my head, I'd always told myself like I'm not gonna be able to be as good as them. It's not worth it to have a career if I can't one up them. 'Cause, in our house, everything was a competition, so it was like, well, they're already winning the competition. I don't want to try and compete with them. I'm not gonna win. This is terrible. I gotta beat them at something else. So I did other things like Boy Scouts and stuff that they'd never done. So I was winning. Um, so that mind shift change of just ignoring that, forgetting about that, letting them have their success and going for my own personal success was huge. And I think that my brother passing away my junior year really was a catalyst for that because it just completely shoved that out of my head. Like my freshman, sophomore year, I'd say like that was probably still hanging in the back of my head. My junior year, I had other stuff to focus on that like that wasn't even popping up in the back of my head anymore. And yeah, it was and once it wasn't there, I just kind of forgot about it. It was like that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm my own person and I got to go for my own success and their success will look different than mine.
That's huge. That's huge, man. Um, you know, taking third at state and then really deciding that you want to continue wrestling in college, obviously that had to be a big decision for you. A guy that really didn't care much about wrestling freshman, sophomore year to really putting yourself out there for it. If you want to talk a little bit about that decision and then where you ended up and kind of the process.
So that is actually a crazy story because it's my senior year of high school, and at that point, it's like October of senior year. I had taken a bunch of college visits, none of them for wrestling. Like, I went to BC, I went to BU, I went to Villanova. I was going places purely on academics. I was convinced I was going to some college down south because I was like, I'm not going to end up wrestling. Like, it's fine. Because in my head at that point, I had the idea of I was going D1 or I was not going at all. I wanted to either compete as much as I could, or I wasn't like I don't know. D2 or D3 didn't just seem wasn't gonna be for me. I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to go all or nothing, and so the college I ended up going to Brown. That didn't happen until probably like October 20th of my senior year. I think I was talking to a coach from UVA at that point. I had reached out to them because academically it was a good fit for me. So then, because of that, I was reaching out to their coach. But I ended up becoming in contact, and they were like kind of giving me a spot, kind of not, kind of recruiting me, kind of not. Um, but I went to my club back in New York, Empire, hosted a college combine. And there's
Okay.
probably like 20, 30 schools there. And of the D1s, I noticed Brown. And like I said, everything's a competition. My brothers went to Cornell. I was like, they went to an Ivy. I got to go to an Ivy. So I was like, all right, let me shoot my shot with the guy from Brown. So I go talk to him, told him my GPA, told him my SATs, which I'm very grateful. My mom always pushed academics on us. So, which I know is a huge holdback for a lot of wrestlers. You can be great at wrestling. If your academics aren't there, you won't get into a school. And I know a couple of friends that it happened to. Um, Anyway, so I go and talk to them at this college combine. They say they like me. He also says he didn't actually like watch me wrestle, so he doesn't know how good I am. See, like I wasn't one of the names on his list, so he wasn't looking for me. Um, Anyway, fast forward a week. I'm up in Boston visiting BC, BU, and Northeastern, and we're walking around the BU campus, and I'm with my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I hate this campus. BC was cool, Northeastern was cool, but BU, this sucks. I don't even want to finish the tour. Listen, I talked to the Brown coaches. Let's shoot down to Rhode Island and just go talk to the Brown coaches because I don't like this tour. Let's just go to the Brown and see if they'll talk to us. My mom was like, okay, let's do it. So it's like a week later, we go down there, and I think it's a Friday. I'd taken off from school. We just walk into the coach's office and start talking to them. Me and my mom probably sit there for like 20, 30 minutes, talk to them. I think Mueller's, one of the assistant coaches, ends up taking us around the campus on a short tour. And then we go back to the office and they're like, hey, we have a prospect clinic tomorrow. Can you be here tomorrow to wrestle at the prospect clinic? And then I was like, fuck it, sure, I'll stay. I'll wrestle. Yes, I'll wrestle at this prospect clinic. If you mean and I might wrestle D1, I'll do it. My mom ends up, she had to go do something, so she leaves me in Rhode Island, checks me into a hotel, leaves me, goes home. She ends up showing up the next day with wrestling shoes for me. I go up, strap up, and they liked the way I wrestled. And I think this was like October 25th. And the next day, like Sunday, they text me and they're like, hey, we really like the way you wrestled. Your academics are good. If you ED here, we'll get you in. If you early decision, we'll get you in. You're done. And I was like, all right, first D1 school to give me an offer. It's Ivy. My brother's made Ivy. I gotta at least be as measurable with them. So I'm doing it. I'm going. And yeah, so it was like 3 days, 4 days before the ED deadline. A week before that, I wasn't even thinking I was wrestling in college and pulled it off.
Man, that's an awesome story. Oh,
It was crazy.
I love that. Oh man.
All because I hated the BU campus. Boston University, I did not like their campus. That was the impetus for it all. And my mom being ridiculously supportive and awesome.
Right.
Yeah, and she was like, "You hate it? No problem. You want to go to Brown? Let's go talk to him." Like,
And like knowing your parents, like I can totally see them just being like, "Oh, okay. Like you want to go try this out? All right, then let's go. Like get in the
yeah,
car." I
it
mean,
was timing. Timing was everything. Talking to them, going up and talking to the Brown Muehlers, the assistant at Brown at the time, at the college combine, and then just by chance the week following week, like that was probably a Saturday. The following Friday, I was just up in Boston by chance doing college visits. Like it was just really lucky.
and I mean like for you just being able to put yourself out there. I mean you're taking a chance, you know? You're betting on yourself. You're like, "Hey, this is what I want to do. Like if you'll take me, I'll give you my all, you know?"
That was my selling point, 100%. When I walked into Brown, I was like, when I talk to those coaches, which is something you'll hear Doug say repeatedly, like be coachable. When I walked into the coach's office at Brown that day, I was like, listen, like I'm being very honest. At that point, I had taken second at the state qualifier the previous year, so I wasn't even a state qualifier at that point. And here I am trying to get into a D1 school. And I was talking to the guy. I was like, listen, I have no credentials. I'm not very good at wrestling, but here are the jumps I've made in the past year. This is the work I'm willing to put in. These are the amount of hours I'm willing to put in. Like I'm willing to do it all, and I'm willing to learn everything. And that was like huge. I still want to. I want to learn. I want to learn technique. I want to learn new stuff. So like if you put the time into me, I'll put the time into you, and like let's do this. I want to do it. And luckily they believed me.
Yeah.
I got very lucky that they were like, "Yeah, you seem genuine. All right, let's do it."
So, if you want to talk a little bit about, your career at Brown, how it went, some things you learned.
That first year at Brown was tough. That was real tough. Think my record was something like 13 and 17 or something. I'm pretty sure I had a losing record. It was rough. I had a losing record though because I'm grateful I got to be the starter for most of the year. I think I was the starter for everything except the last duel and conferences. I ended up a upperclassman came back from injury and they ended up giving the starting spot to him. Um, that sucked. That really
10 and
sucked.
17.
10 and 17?
Yep.
Damn, that's tough. See, I thought I was 12. I gave myself a couple extra there. Ah, that's rough.
I should have said 18 and 17, shouldn't
Yeah, that would have been better. That would have been better.
I?
But yeah, that was a real humbling year. Um, I mean, I faced a lot of good competition. It's the first time I wrestled Yanni. He teched me. That was rough. I was fighting off my back for the last minute of that match. Um, but I don't know, that year really kind of put me back into my place, checked me, because up until that point, 2 years of work I'd put into high school, I saw the returns on it immediately. I could see my progress pretty much immediately. That first year at Brown, it was like a reminder of like, hey bud, you put in 2 years of work. Everyone else here's put in like six. You still got a lot to catch up. Um, so it put me down, but it was also put me down because I was like, damn, I really do suck. But it was also a reminder, like, hey, everyone else is really good too, and they put in a lot of time. You got to put in a lot of time if you want to catch up to them. Something Doug says all the time: it's a
Yeah,
marathon. What
right.
pace are you running at? Like the other guys can run slower than you because they're way ahead. You got to run faster because you got to catch up to them. Um, whether it's like run faster by running harder or running more efficient, up to you. I'm trying to do it efficiently.
Yeah, aren't we
um,
all, man?
yeah. So that first year was good. Um, the year after that's when I took my gap year and I went to
Okay.
Wisconsin. And I was lucky. Max returned the favor. He lived with my family for a couple of years in New York, and he returned the favor and let me live with him for a year and a couple of months. And through that year is kind of when I realized I had been feeling like I kind of plateaued while I was at Brown. And then when I was out in Wisconsin, I kind of felt the progress again. And I was like, that's when I had some doubts. And I was like, oh, maybe Brown's not the best place for me. If I was plateauing there, maybe I should try and find somewhere that I can make the same kind of progress that I am in Wisconsin at AWA. And that's how I found my way here to Iowa, land of corn.
Right. I mean, you want to talk about that transfer process a little bit. Um, your decision on wanting to come to UNI and why you kind of wanted to come to UNI.
So I'm gonna be honest. I At the start of that transfer process, UNI was not on my mind. Um, as when I thought about transferring, the first place I was going, it just made sense. It was easy. One of my brothers was, yeah, one of my brothers was still up there, right? I think Brian was still up there. Um, I was going to Cornell. It just made sense. I'd heard their coaches were good. It was still an Ivy League education, which I knew mattered to my mom a lot. So it was just the easy choice. Like some good coaching, good team, still an Ivy, made sense. So I tried to transfer there, and I'd spoke to one of the coaches on the phone at Cornell once I entered the portal, and the coach was like, "Yep, we'll get you in. Apply. It'll be good." I applied. May comes around. I applied in like March. May comes around. Got denied. May, I call the coach back and I'm like, you told me you were getting me in. And he was like, yeah, I said I'd get you in. I didn't say when. Reapply next semester, maybe. So that really
Oh
rubbed me
wow.
the wrong way and really pissed me off. And I did not like that. So that's when I kind of went, well, fuck Cornell. They don't want me. I want to go somewhere like where they believe in me and where they want me. Because that was coming out of Brown towards the end of the season. That was one of the things I felt like I lacked, which I definitely have found here at UNI was like coaches that like believed in me, um, believed in the work I was putting in, um, believed in my potential, and after I got that denial and had that conversation with the coach, I was like, all right, screw this, screw the academic side of it. Mom, I had to sit down and have a conversation with my mom. I was like, Mom, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting about the academic portion of this. Like, that's not my main focus. My main focus is I want to be the best wrestler I can be, whatever that means. I want to reach my potential. And so I'm very grateful. My mom was like, that's fine. You can throw out this IB education. It's fine. You have to do what you have to do. Go do it. Um, which I'm really grateful she did that. I think she's kind of crazy for letting me do it. But that's how I found this place. I started asking around, and I was like, it's the best coaching staff I can get. I don't care about anything else. What is the best coaching staff I can get? And that also happened to be the summer after Drew just won nationals. And I keep hearing back from people I'm asking. They say, you and I, you and I, you and I. It keeps getting brought up. Max Askren out in Wisconsin just sent one of his guys here. Kind of an unknown name, Parker Ketkaizen. Um, so Max, who was living with at the time, huge fan of you and I. Huge fan of Doug, huge fan of Roper, huge fan of Randy, huge fan of B-Rob. So I came out to visit Parker, um, talked with Doug, talked with Roper, and I was like, "This is it. This is perfect." Like, I, these are the coaches I want. These are the coaches I like. I'm coming here, and honestly, have not regretted. It's been awesome. It's been really cool.
Before we continue today's episode, we would like to give a shout out to our second podcast episode sponsor, Iowa Ortho. Iowa Ortho is a highly regarded healthcare provider in central Iowa, committed to delivering exceptional orthopedic care to individuals in the local community and beyond. With a dedicated team of professionals, Iowa Ortho offers comprehensive services to address various orthopedic conditions, including sports injuries, arthritis, and more. Their primary goal is to assist patients in regaining comfort and improving their quality of life. Convenience is a key aspect of Iowa Ortho services, as they have established 9 accessible locations throughout central Iowa. Whether you require a brief consultation or extensive treatment, scheduling an appointment is effortless. You can visit their user-friendly website at www.iowaortho.com to request an appointment online, or simply give them a call at 515-247-8400. This convenient booking process ensures that patients can swiftly access the care they need. One notable offering provided by Iowa Ortho is the cutting-edge body composition scan, particularly beneficial for wrestlers and athletes. This advanced test employs a DXA scanner to accurately measure body fat, muscle mass, and bone distribution. Understanding these parameters can be crucial for optimizing training regimens and gaining insight into an individual's specific body requirements. The body composition scan is available at a remarkable, affordable price of just $40, making it an attractive option for athletes seeking to enhance their performance or anyone aiming for a pain-free lifestyle. If you are an athlete looking to improve your athletic performance or an individual desiring a pain-free life, Iowa Ortho is undoubtedly the ideal healthcare destination. Their commitment to exceptional orthopedic care, combined with the convenience of multiple locations, ensures that patients receive top-notch treatment. Don't hesitate to explore the services offered by Iowa Ortho today and take a step towards becoming better in orthopedic health and well-being. Visit their website or contact them via phone to schedule an appointment and experience their outstanding care firsthand. Thank you to Iowa Ortho for your support. Let's get back to the episode. Yes, so I think your first year, did you end up redshirting then?
No, cause my gap year counted as my red shirt, basically.
Okay, right.
My
But you
first,
competed at 157.
yeah, I was trying.
Yeah.
I was a little chubby coming off that gap year. Didn't I was probably walking around like 62. Should have been cutting down to 49, 100%. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I'd be better at 57 and ended up losing the wrestle off a couple of times to Cade.
Yeah,
But
so you want to talk about kind of what it was like, deciding to move down a weight class and, how it really propelled you forward.
moving down to 49.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, I knew I had to. Oh, I just remembered. That was the thing. That summer I thought I was going to Cornell. So I thought Yanni would be 49, so I thought I had to either go 41 or 57. Well, I didn't end up going to Cornell, and that didn't matter, but I'd already tried bulking to 57, so I was like, I'll just stay here.
Uh, okay.
That was my reasoning at the time. Was it probably influenced by my love of food? Probably. I my diet is my weak point. I will say that. But after not starting for a year, I mean, I went from starting my first year at Brown to a gap year to not starting. That was painful. That really sucked. And when that season ended, I was like, screw this. I'm not doing that again. One and done. Whatever it takes, like I'm starting again. And at that time, what it took, I knew I needed to come down a weight class. I was too pudgy. I had too much body fat. I wasn't putting on enough muscle. I knew I needed to come down a weight class. It just made too much sense. Um, yeah. So that was pretty simple. And then I'm grateful though that year at 57, I think I still learned a lot. Um, I mean, the amount of time I spent with Roper, the amount of time I've spent with Doug that year and the following years. Sorry, excuse me. Even though I wasn't starting, damn sure I was making progress. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's huge. I mean, that's something we talk about a lot. Not always, I guess, valuing your success, but looking at more of the progress that you can make and the progress you have made. And even as a team, it's like you're not hitting your goals. You're not hitting your goals every year. You're not hitting every goal you set out. But it's a good thing that your standard is that high. You're chasing those big dreams and goals, and you start focusing on the progress that you're making while you're trying to achieve those goals, rather than, oh man, we didn't hit our goal. That's super discouraging. We should just stop trying. Instead you can look at the brighter side of things. The progress that you've made.
I'm not gonna lie. What really drove me for that year I wasn't starting, there were two things that pushed the shit out of me. One of them was I could not finish a takedown on Cade Lara because I could not get past his chest wrap. Every time I'd shoot in, he would just chest wrap the shit out of me. And that pissed me off, so I had to get a takedown on him. And the other thing was Michael Blockus, who was the 49 at the time. His lefty single burned me every single time, and it just made me so angry. And I was like, I have to work on my down blocks. I have to work on my head position. There's no way he can burn me so many times with the same takedown. And that for that year, 100%, like those two things, something I gotta say that has been really helpful is like moments like that just like light a fire. That it's like I have to do this. That give me the passion to go after it at a high level. And it's just funny sometimes some of those things that just trigger it.
Yeah. I mean, you want to talk about the next year, moving down to 49. The success you had, the growth you had. I mean, you put a lot of work in, a lot of time in that summer.
Yeah. Well, the start of that year wasn't too good. Not gonna lie. One of our first competitions was that back-to-back duel with Missouri and Virginia Tech. I lost both those matches pretty badly. The second one against Virginia Tech, getting pinned in like 30 seconds, I think, with Bryce Andonian hitting that sweet
Yeah.
throw. Um, I'm not gonna lie, my season started on a very low note. I was very down on myself because I had put in so much work. I was like, I should be winning. I should be winning. And I put a lot of pressure on myself. The start of that season, a lot of pressure on myself, and that was something I had to deal with. Like I was talking about before, the pressure of the big stages. I was in at the time in my head. I was like, I'm wrestling D1. I'm in the lineup. I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. I've put in X amount of work. I should be winning. Sorry. Um, So the start of that year was rough. I had to work on technique and I had to work on mentality. And I still have to work on both of those things
Yeah.
2 years later. Um, but I got really lucky that as the season went on that year, the work started showing itself more and more. And I mean, by the end of that season, I ended up taking third at Big 12s, but I beat
Yep.
two of the guys that were ranked higher than me who had beat me during the season between Edmond who's Missouri, and Deegan, who's Iowa State.
Yep.
So, and like both those were just fun matches with like a lot of wrestling, and those were definitely two matches that like I was smiling a lot in. having fun wrestling, and then did okay at the NCAA tournament, going 2-2. Um, yeah, it was the year definitely ended better than it started, but not as good as I thought I was going to do. To be honest.
Yeah, so after that year is that when you kind of went and got your citizenship and or was that after your first year?
No, that had been in the pipeline. Shoot, I think while I was at Brown, my family had
Okay.
started talking about it because the idea was it was when it first got brought up, it was supposed to be for my brother Brian. My dad trying to talk my brother Brian into continuing his wrestling career. 'Cause Brian was pretty good, and it was I had started doing decent at wrestling at that point. That they're like, oh yeah, we'll get Colin his citizenship too. It just so happened that after the gap year, during my gap year, I went to Italy a lot during the winter to go do forms and different things for citizenship, and ended up getting it. I think my first year here at UNI, but it had been in the pipeline for a long time. It's not easy to get your citizenship. Um, but yeah, so I think it was my first year here. I ended up getting it. I think.
Yeah, I think so. And then after your second year is when you started competing for them. You went over for the nationals, right? Italian nationals and
Yeah. What year was that? It was 2021, wasn't it?
yeah,
2021, I think, is my first year that, yeah, because the Tokyo Olympic Games were delayed
yep.
to the following year. So 2021, I go over to Italy for the national tournament for the first time. I was really nervous. Ended up teching my way through the tournament, which that was like my fourth ever freestyle tournament. Because I'd gone to New York State freestyle twice, and I'd gone to Fargo once, and then I went to Italian nationals, and then my fifth ever freestyle match or freestyle tournament, like a month after Italian nationals, was the Tokyo Olympic last chance qualifier. Which, if you made the finals, you got to go to the Olympics, which is just like hilarious if you think about it. Like my fifth ever freestyle tournament, I was trying to qualify for the Olympics. Like that's just hilarious. It's honestly been a wild ride, this
Yeah.
career so far.
Do you
Um,
want to talk about the training over there a little bit, like the differences in training and kind of what it was like being over there so much? And I know, obviously competed over there, but also you did some training cycles. I know Kale Ranavardi went with you and
yeah,
stuff. So
Kale just went with me this past year. He came as a for the Italian nationals. I needed a partner to wrestle with, to cut weight with, to work out with, to warm up with, for the Italian nationals. Just so I'm really grateful he came. Shout out Kale. Shout out Ron. Um, so that was awesome. But yeah, I've been grateful to go out there for a couple of training camps, couple of competitions, and it's been awesome. They definitely do things differently, but I don't think differently is necessarily bad. I think they just have a different approach to it, and I kind of admired it in some ways. The way they show technique, and the biggest thing that I always think of is their warm up. Like, do you remember like doing youth wrestling? You'd run in a circle and like do a
yeah,
bunch of stuff, like you do cartwheels. They do stuff like that. And then they'd also do like a long, like stretching routine. What I really admire about it, your joints are always warmed up. Like they always get the joints going. It's really nice. I feel like I definitely get hurt less probably. Maybe it's a mental thing. Um, but yeah, training over there is awesome. The training I've gotten to do with them, like I got to wrestle with the Cuban national team, gotten to wrestle with like a bunch of Russian guys, some Georgian guys, and like gotten to wrestle with Frank Chamizo a couple of times. It's been actually I got a funny story about Frank Chamizo. Probably one of the first times I'm over there. Um, I think my whole family was there. I forget why. Might have been for one of the citizenship things, but my dad came to practice. So I'm wrestling Frank Chamizo in practice. My dad's sitting on the bench watching, and like I'm 65 kilos, Frank Chamizo's 74. He's a lot bigger than me. He's also like how many medals? Like, come on, the guy's good. And he's just toying with me. He keeps like throwing me. He stands up and he laughs. He goes to my dad like, four, picture, picture, like take a picture, 4 point, 4 point. Just like messing with me and my dad. And then I just remember there's one point he hits a high crotch, and I whatchamacallit, whatever you call it, high flyer, whatever, where you kick them through. I hit one of those, and I just remember popping up and being like, ah, and Frank started laughing at me. It was, that was
Four
hilarious.
point, 4 point,
Yeah,
picture, picture.
exactly, exactly. Um, oh my gosh. But yeah, training with the Italians, training with all the different teams they get to come in, it's been awesome. It's been really, really cool. And now I got some other Americans on the Italy team with me too. Got Ben Hannes, 97 kilos. Danny Pacino, who's like 61, 65. Stud Morris, 57. We got a bunch of guys. Abram Coniello, who's another Cuban with Frank Chamizo. Abram actually medaled at Tokyo, 97 kilos, bronze. Now he bumped up to 125 kilos. So Italy's lineup looking good. Looking real good.
Yeah. Before wrapping up this week's episode, we would like to give a shout out to our final sponsor, Mulligan's Brick Oven. Mulligan's Brick Oven Grill and Pub is situated in Cedar Falls, Iowa, and offers a unique dining experience where life always tastes good. This establishment offers a cozy atmosphere with options to dine surrounded by sports in the pub or in the quieter east wing of the restaurant. It is nestled between 18th Street and the Cedar Prairie Trail, making it a central and easily accessible location for local residents and visitors. The menu at Mulligan's is a testament to their commitment to delicious and innovative cuisine. Specializing in brick oven pizza, they serve a selection of progressive pub fare that caters to a wide range of tastes, from classic favorites to unique culinary creations. Each dish is thoughtfully prepared to ensure the highest quality and taste. Their brick oven pizzas, in particular, are a crowd favorite, embodying the essence of classic pizza with a unique twist. In addition to their food offerings, Mulligan's boasts an extensive beer menu to complement their dishes. Whether your preference is pale or dark, malty or hoppy, they offer a beer that fits your palate. The restaurant is open from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. from Sunday to Wednesday and extends its hours until midnight from Thursday to Saturday, providing ample opportunity to savor their culinary delights and enjoy their variety of beers. Thank you again, Mulligan's Brick Oven Pizza, Grill and Pub. You wanna talk about representing Italy at the World Championships and competing there and just that experience?
Yeah, so that was a freaking awesome experience, a crazy experience. Like I said, that if the Italian or the last chance qualifier was my fifth competition ever, going to the World Championships was my sixth, and that was just awesome. Um, One of the biggest parts of that was I was definitely, like I said, high school hadn't stepped on very many big stages. College, I'd gone to the NCAA's once. Being under those big lights, I hadn't done it very many times. And I went to Worlds, and it was awesome. Whoa. I don't know if it was at Worlds or at the last chance qualifier. I actually won one match against the guy from Brazil. That was my first time winning a freestyle match in a long time. Not counting Italian nationals. But yeah, the experience of being at Worlds, it was really surreal. It was really cool. You're around people from all over the world. No one speaks the same language. A lot of people speak English, but like there's a lot of people there that don't speak the same language. We all speak wrestling. And it's just really cool. You got people from Asia, people from Africa, people from South America, Europe, and we all might look different. We all might sound different. We all love the same sport, and we're all there for a week just for our sport, and it's really cool.
Yeah, man. So obviously, um, this last year, another jump made, a lot of growth in your wrestling, your style, your mindset. You could definitely see it this year. You really developed even more, and loved watching you compete. But if you want to talk about your season this year, obviously had some huge wins, and then another NCAA qualifier year.
Yeah, this year definitely had a lot of ups and downs. Um, like, whew, Cliff Keen tournament, that was rough. Started it off pretty well, and then ended it. I think I was like 0-3 for the last matches. But I lost, wrestled Yaya Thomas in either, what was that, the quarterfinals? I think the quarterfinals, because then I think I took eighth. So I had a bad slide from there, got like picked apart. Um, like I was saying previously, biggest thing I was probably working on this year was mentality and confidence. Um, the what I was saying before about like being on that marathon, sometimes I'm just not confident that I've caught up to those guys that have reached the same point in the race as some of the guys because they were doing this for so much longer at such a higher level than me. So that was definitely a huge part of the season, trying to bring that back. Um, that and trying to have some more fun with it. Um, During the matches, you'll smile. You'll see me like smile a decent amount. Because like I'm having fun with the sport, and that's what I love about the sport is like the competition of the sport. So a big thing this year that I've been working on, that I've been struggling with a little bit, is to bring that back into the wrestling room and to find that like same to find those same moments that make me smile like competitions do. Um, but yeah, this year was tough. The ending definitely did not go the way I wanted it. That was tough. That rematch with Sasso. Yeah, speaking of highlights of the year, like beating Sasso as a team, we beat Ohio State. That was absolutely insane. Highlight
Yeah,
of the
man,
season, easy.
that was cool.
And then low point was definitely losing to him at the national tournament in the rubber band match, wrestling him a second time. That was rough. Like I said, definitely a lot of nerves wrestling under those big lights. Uh, got to fix that mentality. Got to fix that confidence. Because I think technique wise, I'm there. It's just working on those mental skills. Got to be able to perform at the same consistent level every match, or else, uh, who? I think it was Kyle Dake that said it. You want to reach the level that even at your worst days, you're still a world champ. I think Kyle Dake said that. He was his goal is not to be at his best a world champ. He wants his worst to be the world champ. So that no matter what, you win the tournament. And that's the point I'm trying to get to for the NCAAs. Like I got to get to that level where even if I have a bad day, it doesn't matter. I still win.
Man,
Um,
that's an incredible quote. And
yeah,
to think your worst can be a world champ, right? I mean, there's levels. There's just levels.
there's there are a lot of levels, a lot of levels, and it's hard to climb them. I definitely not this past year, but the year before, I definitely made a bigger jump during the season. This past year, like once you get to those higher levels, the jumps are the how big the changes are small, and it can be hard to see them. Something I like talk about with Roper, like getting from the way I think he described it was like getting from number 20 in the country to number 10 is about the same difficulty as going from like number 10 to number 8. Like the lower the worse your skill is, the easier it is to make big jumps. The better you get, the harder it is to make jumps. So you gotta just keep banging at it, and it might be not as easy to see the progress, but that doesn't mean you stop. That doesn't mean you give up. You still try your hardest. You still work to get better. You still just gotta throw yourself into the sport.
Word. Dude, so, you said you didn't um, travel much as a kid. You didn't really have those big stages, but obviously in the last few years, you've been on those big stages. You've competed at the World Championships, at the NCAAs, Olympic trials last chance.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say has been your favorite moment or memory, in the last few years?
Ooh. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, there's probably two that stick out to me. One was my Big 12 match with Jared Deegan, the Iowa State kid. He, the first time I wrestled him, I just felt very stupid. Couldn't take him down, couldn't beat his length. And the second time I wrestled him, I felt like I just picked him apart and like I beat him at his game. And that was huge for me. That was a huge boost in my own confidence. It was like, wow, I can make adjustments, I can make improvements, and I can make them in short time periods to beat these guys that were beating me not too long ago. That was a huge moment, and like why it sticks out to me is because I think the first period we get like I get like two takedowns in him, and I think there's blood time or something. And I just remember walking over to the corner, and I think it was Max Askren had told either me or Roper the adjustment I needed to make for that second match against them. And I just remember walking back to the corner and being like, "It worked, Roper! It worked!" It's like it's on camera on you know how we record the matches on the iPad. It's on
Yep.
the iPad. You just see me walking over pumped. It worked. So like in my head that's iconic just because to me that like represents and shows like the progress you can make over short times that like sometimes most of the time 90% of the time you don't get to see those small progress marks while you're doing it. You get to look back 2 years down the road and realize you made progress, but in the moment it can be really hard to see that progress. So at that point that's why that sticks out to me. And the second one was probably now there's probably two others. I don't know. This beating Sammy Sasso, that was a huge confidence boost. That was a massive confidence boost, especially because I had a piece my like rebuttal move on him that like I've been messing around with a lot in the room. That like Max Askren showed me, that Jason Ipsaritas showed me. So that was a huge confidence boost. Um, and that moment sticks out to me just because, yeah, the confidence it gives me, the like sort of realization of like, hey, bud, you're on this level, like you're here. What you do with it is up to me, but I'm there. So
Right.
yeah,
Right. Man, that's huge.
yeah, it's awesome. And like the fact I got so pumped up after winning that match, and then watching our team win the rest of the duel, dude, I was so pumped that day. We could have walked out of We could have walked out of New Orleans right then and there, and I'd be like, "Good job, boys. Like that's it. We don't need we don't need to wrestle anymore. Let's get out of here. We're good." If I was Doug, that's what I would have done. I'd be like, "All right, boys, let's leave. We're good."
So, I think it was an interview before nationals. You talked about just being you. If you want to talk about, what that means to you, obviously, on a surface level, you can kind of figure it out. Being yourself, right?
Yeah,
But it's obviously a little bit deeper than that. If that's something you strive for, that's what you want to be. You want to be you when you go out there on the mat. You want to be you. When you walk into an arena, to a new school, whatever it is. If you want to talk a little bit about the depth of that and what that means to you.
yeah. That's definitely something I've been talking a lot with Roper. You did your research, my guy. Props to you. Um, shout out Lance, real quick. But yeah, being me this past year, it's been huge. Like you said on the surface level during matches, it's like that smile that I have on the matches or the pissed off face I have sometimes. Like just being true to who I am and the emotions I'm feeling in the moment. And like where it probably comes out the biggest is being true to myself and being true to the fact that like the wrestler I'm gonna be and the wrestler I look like is not gonna be the same wrestler as the biggest one is probably like for a while I was trying to copy my brother Brian, like trying to copy his stance. I was like, well, he had a good stance and like his stance worked for him, so let me try and copy that. And then the year I was here trying to be 157, I was kind of copying Kyle Dake's stance a lot and like trying to get in his stance just like him. And so being true to myself, being true to who I am, like part of that is realizing like I don't get to like I can't copy them. I'm not gonna copy them and do them better than they're gonna do them. I'm not gonna copy Kyle Dake and be better than Kyle Dake. Like Kyle Dake's gonna be the best version of Kyle Dake there is. I can all I can do is try to be the best version of myself. And maybe that means my wrestling stance looks similar to my brother Brian's, but it's not going to be the same because I'm not the same person. And yeah, so it's just like coming to the realization that what I look like as a wrestler might not be the same as anyone else. That's okay. I'm not the same as anyone else. And it's you got to have faith that just because you do it differently doesn't mean you do it wrong. So you don't have to copy someone to make it right. If it works, it's right. That's the only thing that matters. I mean, Roper loves to say that. If it works, it's right. I mean, you can shout out to Max Askren. I'm pretty sure he's still got it up there. He's got like a sign on the wall in his academy, like no headlocks. I forget what the other ones are, but it's like no headlocks because he's like headlocks aren't like a high level move. Go to the World Championships, you'll see plenty of headlocks. Go to the NCAA's, you'll see plenty of headlocks. If it works, it's right. So being true to myself is finding what works for me, not by copying the exact same other people, but by seeing other examples and choosing what I think, choosing pieces from different parts that I think is most me. Whether it's purely technique, but I mean, that goes for technique, that goes for my stance, that goes for how I walk up to the wrestling mat, that goes for how I warm up for a wrestling match, that goes for what am I doing the 2 hours in between wrestling matches, what am I doing for my like post weigh nutrition, all of that. Like I I look at examples for other people. Obviously, for like a nutrition standpoint, I listen to nutritionists, but I take from them but I make it my own. And you got to have confidence in making it your own. Yeah, that's been a huge part of this past year.
Man, I love that. I love that self reflection and that awareness you have when describing, being you. Um, what would you say is one piece of advice you would give to young wrestlers? Obviously, you've had a lot of experience, a lot of different experiences. So,
Um, Honestly, the biggest thing that I feel like the biggest, easiest thing a lot of young wrestlers can do, get on the mat, mess around. Like, you don't have to wrestle hard. You don't have to drill strict moves. Like, get on the mat, mess around. Like, drill lightly, spar lightly. You don't have to go hard. Mess around and have fun with it. Just have fun with it. Because if you make it fun, then it's not work. If it's not work, you want to do it more. And, like, the more hours you can get on a mat to build even just purely body awareness, if you don't even want to work on technique, huge. Just get on the mat, mess around, have fun. You don't have to go hard. Just more hours on a wrestling mat. And if you could do technique correctly at the same time, that'd be great.
yeah, man. So obviously, this next season, looking at taking an Olympic red shirt. If you just want to talk a little bit about, what that is gonna look like for you, and what your fans, your supporters should look for next season.
Yep. Hello to my fans and supporters, aka mom and dad. Hey, mom. Hey, dad. Nah, just messing around. There are other fans out there. Thank you for listening. But whatchamacallit. So for this next year, I'll be going to the Senior World Championships. Um, I wasn't getting that. Sorry. Meredith, my girlfriend, just poked her head in and started pointing at herself. She's a fan and supporter too. Shout out to Meredith. Um, uh, but anyway, so World Championships, September 15th. I believe U23 World Championships are about a month after that. And then I'm pretty sure I just saw either today or yesterday UWW announced the Continental qualifiers. So the Senior World Championships are a qualifier for the Olympics. Then each continent has a qualifier for the Olympics, and then there's the last chance after that. So hopefully I'll go to the World Championships, and that'll be it, and I'll be qualified. Knock on wood. Um, but yeah, that's the schedule. before yeah, before the Senior World Championships, I'll be heading to Azerbaijan, one of those old Soviet Union republics that like broke off after it dissolved, for a training camp for like 2.5 weeks before the World Championships. Then it's on to the World Championships to kick some butt. And yeah, that's about it. That's all she wrote.
Looking forward to that for you, man. I'm excited to see you compete. I know obviously you're always getting better, always putting work in, so it's going to be cool to see the gains that you make not only, after this year but also, this year at the senior level too. So,
Thanks, man. Thank you. I'm trying to get better, you know.
yeah. A couple fun questions just to finish up. You want to talk about some of your hobbies or things you like to do in your spare time?
Huge video game guy. Huge PC video games. Age of Empires 4, Hearts of Iron 4, Europa Universalis 4. Um, I just got into this new one. I forget the name of it. It's called Bar. Uh, Beyond All Reason. Um, a bunch of computer games. I play Warzone and actually just bought FIFA too. But I'm a huge video game guy. I don't know. Besides that, I like frisbee golf every once in a while. Been trying to get into real golf. Haven't done it yet. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I like cooking too. Cooking's fun.
There you go. Hey, I'll try out golf with you. You
Yeah,
just let me know. Yeah.
I need to get some
Um,
clubs. Let's do
Me
it.
too. I need some lefties though. So if anybody knows anyone that knows where to get some lefties, let me know. Some good ones. Um, so I finish up with some rapid fire questions here. What's your favorite place to eat in Cedar Falls?
Chick-fil-A. Yeah, Chick-fil-A. I'm rolling with Chick-fil-A.
So Waterloo.
All right. Does that count?
Waterloo, Cedar Falls. Yeah, we can count it. That's fine.
All right.
What's your favorite sports team?
Uh, Panthers. I don't. Actually, no. Napoli. What am I saying? Napoli. Naples soccer team out in Italy. First soccer
Okay.
game I ever went to.
There you
Great.
go. What's your favorite movie?
Borat. that's that's an old classic. That's been my go-to for like 10 years. Borat.
Who's your favorite athlete?
Probably my brother Brian. Well, not a huge sports guy. I'm gonna be honest. It's like, yeah, sports team, favorite athlete. Not huge into that stuff. So
Well, I mean, be wrestlers too. So,
that's true. Well, I'm gonna be honest. I was never into following wrestling until I started. Like, I didn't know any college wrestlers until I started wrestling in college. It's like, that's kind of a problem too.
that's all right. What's your favorite home cooked meal?
Oh, chicken parm, chicken parm. I would kill to have my mom's chicken parm. I really would.
Man, that sounds good. All right. Well, thank you for listening to Elite Wrestling Club podcast. We hope you found today's episode valuable and enjoyed our exploration of Colin Realbuto. To stay connected with us, hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode. We release new content every Monday. Be sure to leave a review on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Your reviews help us reach more listeners and provide valuable content. Also, visit the Elite Wrestling Club website and follow us on social media for questions, topic suggestions, or to connect with our community. If you love the episode, donate to us using our Elite Wrestling Club PayPal located on our website. So you can go to elitewrestlingclub.store, click podcast, and then hit the podcast website button in the yellow, where you will see the donation heart in the top right corner. These donations help us to continue providing remarkable content for you weekly, as well as improve your experience for future episodes as well. Exciting episodes are on the way, so stay tuned and join us next time for more inspiration. Thank you for being a part of the Elite Wrestling Club podcast world. Keep exploring within to inspire others.